Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. Good morning, Josh.
Hi, Claire, how are you?
Good. I'm excited. Are you
Yeah, me
excited?
too.
Yeah. That's great. Thank you. Thank you for being here, Josh, today. Thank you to all of you who are joining, or to all of those who are maybe going to see this later when this becomes a recording. My name is Clara Custodio. I lead customer experience and communications here at Consensus International. And this is a webinar. This is the first webinar of a series of webinars that we are doing for those of you who have maybe never even seen the screen of SAP Business One before. So for very first time users, for beginners. And together with me today is Joshua. Joshua Han is one of the latest additions to the Consensus family and the Consensus team. We are thrilled both to have him on the team and to have him here with me today. Joshua is a certified Lean Six Sigma Green Belt, pretty impressive. And he has experience being an SAP Business One end user. He attended a SAP Business One program, and he has been a consultant and an end user for around 3 years. So it's still fresh in his mind when he started learning about SAP Business One, although he has accumulated a lot of knowledge. So it was my first choice when I thought about preparing this webinar for beginners, and he's definitely done a fantastic job. So thank you again for joining us. I want to stress again that this is a webinar. This content is for very first-time users. I see in our list of participants some advanced users. I'm thrilled that you're here. You know who you are. I don't know if you're gonna find this session valuable though, but fantastic. I will appreciate your feedback, but please take into account that we made this session thinking about those users that have no experience with SAP Business One yet. So let's get started. Before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping items. This session is being recorded. It will be available for you afterwards. You will be able to see it at your own pace or share it with your colleagues, whomever was not able to make it today. You are all muted by default, but you can definitely use the Q&A functionality in Zoom. If you have a question, we'll try to get to all your questions by the end of the webinar. And I think we can now get started.
Great. Thank you, Claire, for the introduction. Yeah, so SAP Business One is a little bit different from some of the other offerings that SAP has in their portfolio. SAP Business One is not available to be bought specifically from SAP. You'll have to go through a VAR, or a value-added reseller, as we know them in the industry. The value-added reseller, like Consensus, is much like a car dealership where you can't buy a car specifically from Ford or Subaru or Toyota. However, these dealerships provide you with value-added services like sales, customizing your car to fit your needs, or training, like you'll see in your implementation, as well as long-term support and maintenance after go live. So it's not just up front where you just buy something from the store. It's going to be a long-term service that we're excited to provide for you. And Claire's going to talk a little bit why we are a bit different from some of the other VARs in SAP Business One.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you for that. Yes, so that is the role of Consensus. Is basically we are the middlemen, if you will, but we're here for the long run with you in this journey that you're starting today. And what sets Consensus apart from other partners, I would say, are our values. First and foremost, we take our values very, very seriously and to heart, and we try to live by our values every day in every interaction that we have with you. So we strive to be trustworthy, customer-centric, meaning that we always try to put ourselves in your shoes. We want to be kind, and even though that might sound a little bit naive, but it's not. We believe that in any business interaction, if you add kindness, a lot more things can be achieved, and it can help communication greatly. Empathy is the basis of being kind. And like I said before, we try to put ourselves in your shoes, and we want to work with you in a teamwork scenario. So we not only work as a team inside Consensus, but we want to work with you as another member of our team. Our passion is technology, obviously, but technology and people, technology and the impact it has on people. So we want to make your companies more productive and better managed, but we want to make each end user's work life better. So we want you to feel better at the end of your workday, and when you leave and you go home, you have less things pending on your to-do list because you became more productive with SAP Business One and our consultancy. We also have, like you see on this infographic, we have more than 30 years of experience. So we've been doing this for a very long time, and we bring that experience to benefit you every day. So that's a little bit about us, but what we do to be with you for the long run. And this is just an example. A lot of things change, and we've learned this the hard way this past year. A lot of things change, things that we don't expect to be changing, but they change, and businesses change, but also SAP Business One has newer versions, or your scenarios change for some reason, and we want to be there with you for the long run. So this is a long-term relationship that we're starting today, and we are going to be willing to make you as independent and self-sufficient as possible as an SAP Business One user, but we also want you to know that we're going to be here forever kind of thing. So we produce content for you to keep on learning SAP Business One, for you to become more and more efficient as time goes by and adapt to new versions, etc. So we have a website, we have a newsletter, and you'll hear more about that very soon. We don't want to overwhelm you today, so let's move to the next slide. This is a session that we're doing once a month. You will decide when it's a good time for you to join one of these sessions. And please know that you can join these sessions every month if you would like. I will update the content from month to month. I would maybe suggest that you can attend one of these sessions soon after you see this webinar, and then maybe you can attend it 1 year from now to see what updates are there and what other content is available for you to continue on your SAP Business One learning journey. There are a lot of available materials, both multimedia and in writing or websites, and this session is designed to guide you through all that content and to let you know that all that content is available so that you can choose and pick what you're going to use for your training and your learning of SAP Business One. And today we are at the very beginning, and you're probably wondering, what is SAP Business One? And Josh is going to take us through that.
Thanks, Claire. Yeah, so SAP Business One, if you're not familiar with it, is a enterprise resource planning system, or ERP, for the small to medium-sized market. What's really cool about SAP is, or Business One specific, is that it has a lot of trickle-down functionality from the enterprise suite level ERP system, so S/4HANA, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in the next couple slides. So SAP Business One is supported in 43 localizations with support of 27 languages, and is used in over 170 countries. This is really important because SAP Business One user base is growing and very rapidly. Every update is coming out with more support for different localizations, be that the requirements for the financials and other functionalities that might be needed. There's over 1 million users worldwide with a 95% renewal rate. And I think that's amazing. The licenses renewal rate is quite staggering, because it not only means that people are buying the product and using it, but they're also enjoying the product. It's making their life easier and alleviating a lot of pain points. So I really like to see that statistic, and yeah. So why ERP systems? In general, it's kind of referred to as a single system. In other systems, you might be using a bunch of Excel spreadsheets and communicating via an email, which can be really cluttering. It's great that SAP is Business One is a single scalable system. that allows you to capture all aspects of your business, be it production, sales, or human resources, as well as tracking your items and inventory. And what's great, whether you're using SQL or HANA, it's really quick, and you'll be able to see that whenever you use it. So the types of users within SAP are kind of grouped into two classes, professional and limited. Professional license includes the 3 limited licenses. And the limited licenses are specific to 3 aspects of your business. So logistics, which can be shipping and receiving, as well as warehouse management. And then you'll have financials, which might be your chart of accounts or journal entries. And CRM is your sales. So just because you have one of these licenses does not mean you'll have access to everything within the system. This is important because your company or organization might have authorization set up to have more segregation of duties to eliminate fraud or other errant transactions.
Thank you, Josh. So logging in was the first thing that we were going to cover on this webinar, but we realized that logging in is going to be different for each one of you. And we weren't able to show all the different examples. Basically, the way you log into SAP Business One is going to depend a lot on your company and the choices they make on how they want you to connect with the server and the type of deployment. So the next slides are just showing how different things can look from only 3 examples. The remote desktop we were seeing before. This is an example of the remote desktop web client. And there's also, I think, another slide showing the user access portal. Your login window might look different from all these examples that I just showed you. Basically, 2 important things are going to be your user ID and your password, but also your company might decide to set up a single sign-on, and that would mean, or binding it to your Windows user. So we didn't want to get into all that detail, as it could be confusing for you. Basically, for how to log in into your system, you need to refer to your system administrator within your company, or if you are right now going into an implementation, your project manager from Consensus or your consultant will be able to tell you how to log in. But once you log in, you will be met with the Choose Company window. I don't know if you want to go over the different types of databases, Josh, that they will probably encounter the first time they log in.
Yeah, so this is a pretty optimistic view of what your Choose Company screen might look like. Some companies might have a large number of databases here, but just for now, we're just going to look at the type of database. So you have 3 types of the databases: productive, demo, and test. The productive environment is kind of going to be your golden copy of your SAP Business One before your go live. You don't want to put any transactions in here or test any of your processes in here. We want to make sure it's as clean as possible, so our data is as clean as we can be on go live. Next, we'll have the test company, which is kind of below your productive environment. This is where you're going to test all your business processes as well as your approvals and other things that you might want to test before go live. This is also where you run your pilot before the go live, where you're going to be running through your business transactions on a day-to-day basis for, we'll say, a given week before you go live. Last, and I think most importantly, and it's been a huge resource to me, is the demo environment. The demo environment or database is where you're going to be going through all your learning journey, which Clara talks a little bit more about in our user resources training. This is where you'll test all your case studies throughout the different modules within the learning journey. And it's a great spot that you're not going to hurt anything, and you won't be interfering with anybody else doing transaction testing or things that might be found in the test database. So just make sure that you're wary of or aware of the environment that you're logging into. Make sure it's your company and your associated test database.
Thank you, Josh. If we can go back to the previous slide, as Josh was mentioning, this is like an ideal window. But if you are a new user in a company that has been working with SAP Business One for a long time, there might have more than 2 test companies and maybe a demo company that doesn't have the word demo in it. So because these names can be changed, right? So as Josh was mentioning, if you are a new user in a company that has been using SAP Business One for a long time, do ask your immediate supervisor or the person who's introducing you to SAP Business One, which is your sandbox database, so that you're sure that when you're playing with it and trying things for the first time, you're not interfering with anything else. Which, if you see the word test in one of these databases, you could still be messing up with some tests that somebody else is doing in a different department. So just make sure, and once you get the green light, then you can play with that database. Thank you. So not only there are different types of users, like Josh was explaining, and also authorizations that might affect what you can and you cannot do. Also, SAP Business One comes in different versions. So for the purpose of this webinar, we're going to be using SAP Business One 10 version for SAP HANA. This is a very quick and cool tip. If you want to know which version was installed in your company and which version you're working with, you can click on help on the menu, and then on the little window that will display, you click on about SAP Business One, and then you will get that information. Not that it's going to matter very much to you today, but this is just a cool tip. Just for you to feel confident, if what you see on screen for what we're going to show both Josh and I today doesn't look exactly the same on your screen, it's not really important. You're probably going to have access to all the same functionality. It might just be that you're in a different version. Maybe you're not on HANA, but it's not, don't worry, because we're not showing anything that is only available on HANA. Okay. So I think that's all from us right now. Let's go into the presentation. Both Josh and myself, we're now going to take our cameras off so that we can concentrate on the content, and feel free to make questions along the way.
When logging into SAP Business One for the first time, you'll be greeted with 2 windows. First, we have the welcome window. This displays various user resources that you might find helpful if you run into some issues while using SAP Business One. If we don't want to see this menu at startup, we can simply uncheck this box at the bottom left, show this page at startup, and close the page. We also have our license information on the bottom right, and we can simply hide this or bring it back forward by clicking on the SAP Business One icon at the bottom right. In SAP, there are various locations on the home screen that you might find useful, and I'll be using these terminologies throughout the webinar. In the middle, we have our cockpit, which displays various widgets. It's user-defined. Next, we have our system messages log on the bottom left, as well as our date and time in the bottom center. Next, we have the search bar, which can be found by clicking this hamburger icon on the top left. Here we can look up certain keywords in the modules or menus. Next, we have the toolbar, which displays various information as well as tools that you might find helpful when using certain documents. It's important to note that you can use a document or a tool whenever it's white, like this lock screen. You cannot use it whenever you have a grayed out icon like the spine button here, because we don't have a document open. And in the top left, we have our menu bar. In SAP Business One, we have a variety of modules to choose from. Modules can be found in the menu bar on the top left by clicking on the modules button. And all the modules that are displayed within SAP Business One will be able to have access here. Just because you can see certain things in this module dropdown does not mean you have access to them, and you'll have to be wary of your authorizations of what you're allowed to have access to. In the search bar, we can also see our modules. However, this is not the full list all the time. this can be set up to have all of the modules or only one or two of the modules, depending on your role. As a breakdown, we have administration. Administration is your company's basic information, as well as the setup information that you'll be using to configure SAP Business One to fit your needs. Next, we have financials, which has your chart of accounts, your journal entries, and general ledgers, as well as GL account determinations. We also have the CRM, which is commonly used by sales. Here we have access to business partner master data, activities, campaigns, opportunities, and whatnot. Next, we have the opportunities module, where it has opportunities as well as opportunity reports. Next, we have the sales AR menu module. This holds things like sales orders, deliveries, AR invoices, and sales reports. Next, we have purchasing AP, which has purchase requests, purchase quotation, purchase order, as well as purchasing reports that you might be using on a day-to-day basis. Next, we have business partners. This houses the business partner master data, activity, campaigns, as well as business partner reports. Next, we have banking, which holds all of your banking information, as well as banking reports. Next, we have inventory, which has your item master data, as well as certain inventory reports that you might be using. Next, we have resources, which is important to production. This is where you manage your resource master data, as well as the resource capacity. Next, we have materials requirements planning, or MRP, which is on the production side. This is where you can forecast your production cycles, as well as use the MRP wizard. Next, we have service. Here we have the service call, as other service reports as well. Next, we have the human resources. Human resources is where we define our employee master data, as well as timesheets, and other employee or human resources reports that might be useful. Lastly, we have the project management module, which has where you define your projects, as well as billing document generation and certain project reports. You can also tell that there's 3 different types of icons. Here we have in the financials a master icon, which is specific to the financials module. Next, we have the chart of accounts, which has a folded piece of paper. This indicates that this is a document that you can edit or launch. And lastly, we have a folder. The folder is just like in your file explorer, where you can click on the fixed assets, for example, and more menus will come up, and you can see fixed assets reports at the very bottom. It's important to note that you can also enable reports, which can be displayed here in the modules tab, and then drill down into each of the reports as necessary, or you can simply go to each report or each module and look through the inventory reports, for example, here. Before you start using the system, it's important to understand the 2 types of data that are in SAP Business One. There's master data, which is things like business partner master data, which can be found here. In the business partner master data, you'll be able to define things such as telephone numbers, contact informations, payment terms, banks, as well as associated accounting roles that you might have for each specific business partner. On the other hand, we have transactional data. Transactional data are things like sales orders or purchase orders in which somebody makes a sale and the customer agrees to the sale. And we can define things such as the customer name, the contact person, the contents of the order, where the order will be shipped to, where the order will be billed to, as well as the accounting information that is associated with this sales reporter.
The toolbar in SAP Business One has many icons that will allow you to work in a very streamlined and efficient manner with only a click of your mouse. The first thing to know about the toolbar is that you can only activate an icon when it looks colored like these ones. So the icons that are grayed out, you cannot use right now. This might be because of the screen that you're seeing. For instance, right now we see a lot of these icons are grayed out because they relate to documents or files, and we don't have a document or file open right now. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go I'm going to open an AR invoice, and we see that now many of the icons have come to a white color, and that means that we can now use them. If we look for a specific AR invoice, other icons are lightened up as well. So depending on the file and the status of the file that we're looking at or the object, some icons will be available and others won't. There are a lot of icons in the toolbar, and I do recommend that you study them further along your SAP Business One journey. But right now, we're just going to give you a quick overview of the most used icons on the toolbar. Far to the left, the two first icons are preview and print. The preview icon will allow you to see how a document is going to look once you print it before you actually print it. And the print button is self-explanatory. It'll help you to print. These three buttons a little bit right are going to allow you to export an object, a report, or a file to a different format, those being Excel, Word, or a PDF file. Right here, we have the two most used icons in the toolbar. Those activate either the find mode or the add mode. And what that does is that if you are in a specific file like an AR invoice, and what you want to do is you want to find a specific invoice that you're looking for, you click on the binoculars, and this turns all the fields in yellow into filter fields. So we remember the name of one of our customers, which is Earthshaker Corporation. So we just type in that name and we click on enter, and that's going to bring back a list of all the AR invoices to that customer. If we would like to see a full list of all AR invoices without applying any filter, we can also do that using the find mode icon. And once we have the document in the find mode, we can just type asterisk into any of the fields and then click enter, and that will bring back a full list of all AR invoices in our system. If instead of the find mode button, we activate the add mode button, which is what I'm going to do right now, this shows us a template of that document for us to start working on a completely new document. Also very useful are the toggle document arrows here. And basically what this is going to do is going to allow us to go to the very first data record within this document type. So if we click here, we will see the very first AR invoice on our system, which is number 1. If we click on the totally to the right arrow, that's going to show us the last data record. So this would be the last AR invoice on our system. And using the two arrows in the middle, we can just go to the previous record or just advance one by one to the next record. This icon here, it's similar to your browser refresh button. So in case another user has been working on the system on the same document as you have, you can refresh your document to see the latest version. Some of these icons we will be reviewing in the second webinar, in the Getting Started webinar 102. This one specifically we will review on that webinar, allows you to personalize your settings for SAP Business One.
Very popular functionality of SAP Business One is the golden arrow. You'll commonly refer to the golden, or you'll commonly hear the golden arrow referred to as a drill down functionality. So here, if we select a customer, so we use Alpha Group for example, you'll see a golden arrow next to the customer name. What this does is allows you to click on the golden arrow and the customer, and it will link you to the business partner master data. This might be helpful to update business partner master data as you're creating a sales order or for any other reason. This can also be found in other places on transactional data. Here we have an item number, and we're linking this sales order to an item that is defined in the item master data. So on the left, it comes with a golden arrow. Simply click on that golden arrow just like above, and we'll drill down into the item master data. Another unique function within SAP Business One is the difference between the tab and enter keys. Tab is used like you would in Microsoft Excel. So here we'll toggle fields. The enter key is used to select a button with a golden bar if you're using SAP Business One in version 10 for HANA. Here I want to select Alpha Group, so I'll simply click the enter button to choose Alpha Group as my customer. When using tab, I simply go to the next line. This will help me tab through all the fields within the document.
For the sake of this exercise, we're going to be creating our very first document in SAP Business One. In this case, we are going to be creating a sales order, a brand new sales order. So first, remembering the module structure of SAP Business One, we need to find the module under which we will find the document sales order. Remember that we can do this both ways. Up here in the menu, where we see a full list of the modules, or we can click on the hamburger icon, and this is going to display the sidebar menu with all our modules as well. We know that a sales order should be under the sales module, so we're going to just click on the sales module, which is going to display all the documents and other folders that are under the sales module. And here we see the document that we want to create, which is a sales order. We click on our document, and that opens up the document for us. And this document is ready for us to start filling in the different fields with information that is going to build our document, our sales order. First, we want to double check that we are indeed in the mode of adding a new document. And we can do that in two different ways. One is by paying attention to the toolbar and making sure that the tool add is the one that is grayed out and that we are not under find. The other way that we can do that is by navigating to the bottom of our document and making sure that the button says add a new and that it doesn't say find. These little bars on the side help us navigate within a document or a screen in SAP Business One. So we want to create a sales order, and we want to create it for a customer that already exists in our business partner master data. If the customer that we want to create a sales order or any other sales document for that matter in SAP Business One is not yet registered in our BP master data, we would need to do that first. We cannot come into SAP and manually type in a document information relating to the customer. So first, the customer needs to be in SAP, in our master data, and then we would be able to look for that customer and call that customer information from here, from the document. So whenever you see this icon that resembles a little bubble, you know that this, by clicking here, what you're going to do is you're going to open a list of the different options that you have to fill for this particular field. So in this case, when we click here, it's going to open for us a list of business partners. And we see here, we have the business partner code and the name. So we're going to choose the first option, which is already grayed out. And then we either click on choose manually with our mouse, or we click enter, and that's going to do exactly the same. And like we see right now, since this customer was already in our master data and we were able to find it, it already is populating information into other fields as well. So by bringing this from our master data, we take advantage of the fact that all the information relating to this customer is in the master data, and it's going to automatically populate into our documents. So not only the name and the contact person, but also, for instance, here, the ship to and the bill to address and other information that pertains to the customer. So we want to finalize this sales order. We want to add an item to the sales order. And by clicking here on the field, we see that we can also open the list of items, which is what we're going to do. And we can choose from the list of items. Maybe sometime later, if you already know the codes, you can type in the beginning of the code, and that will open a shorter list for you of all the items that start with an A, for instance, if you already know the codes of your items. But another way of doing that is just opening the full list. We're going to click on the second option, and we're going to choose that. You can also click on enter to choose that. And then we just modify the quantity, for instance, because we want to sell, we want to include 45. And remember that at this point, what I did is I changed the quantity, and then I hit on the tab key on my keyboard. Because right now, if I hit on enter, the system will consider that I'm done with my document, and it will automatically add the document to SAP Business One. So while changing information in the different fields, I need to use the tab key to change from one field to the next. If you see, once we've added the item, the tax code already populated for us as well. And this comes from the customer master data as well. So we might choose to create a delivery date that is 5 days from the posting day. And it's asking us if we want to update all the rows with this new delivery date. We say yes. And we would be done with this sales order. We can add remarks here if we wanted to, but for this example, we're not going to do that. We're just going to click on add and new, and the system will bring us back success message, the green bar that you just saw at the bottom of our screen, and the system leaves us in a completely new sales order screen, assuming that we might want to create a new one. If we just want to review the one that we recently created, we are going to use the toggle arrows, and we're just going to click on the previous record one. And that's going to open the one that we just did, because it's going to take us to the previous, to the immediately previous sales order number. And here we can review, and only a few fields are editable after adding to the system. So it's always best to review before adding a document. What we're going to do now is we're going to be looking for a document that was already created in SAP Business One, which is a different thing than creating a new one, right? So for this example, we're going to be looking for an accounts payable invoice that we created for one of our vendors. So to make things a little different. So we took it to the sales side before. Now we're going to be working on the purchase side of things. We need to know in which module we would find such documents, which in this case is pretty obvious. We're going to just open the hamburger icon again to display all our modules. Since we worked on the previous exercise on the sales module, if you saw when I opened my sidebar menu, this was still clicked. So we just need to click on it again so that it will minimize and we can see all the modules again. So to find an already existing accounts payable invoice, we would go to the module for purchasing, right? But let's just pretend that we are not sure under which module we would find this document. So remember that you also have the lookup menu on top, and you can just type in AP, and that's already, just by typing AP, it's already giving us all the choices of documents and the module that includes those letters. So the lookup menu is also very useful for finding what you're looking for. And in this case, we're just going to click on the AP invoice, and we're going to see that the screen opens with an AP invoice. To make sure you are on the right document, always look at the upper left-hand side of the document itself, and that's going to tell you exactly which document you're working on. Since we want to now find an existing document and not create a new one, we need to double check both by scrolling down and looking at the button here, and also by looking at the toolbar, that we are not in add mode, which in fact we are. We need to be in find mode. So we're going to just click on the binoculars icon, and that is already going to change the screen for us. So not only are we going to see a lot of the fields colored in yellow or grayed out, but also if we scroll down to the document, we're going to see that the button now doesn't say add a new, it says find. So this is very important to make sure that you are in the mode that you want to be. So why are all these fields colored in yellow? This means that all the fields colored in yellow can be used as a filter to find the document that you're looking for. So since we're pretending to look for an accounts payable invoice for one of our vendors, in this case, my user knows the name of the company, but I do not necessarily know the code, and this might be the case for many users. So remember that the vendor field is for the code and the name field is for the name of the company. So in this case, I know that my customer's name starts with the word ocean. So if I input that information here on the name field, and then I click on find, or I click enter for that matter, what the system is going to return is a list of all the accounts payable invoices that were created for the vendor Ocean Computers. And from this list, I can just look, and this list can be treated a little bit like an Excel file in the sense that if you click on the date, if you double click on the date, that will be the field that is going to create an order for your list, and you can reverse it. So right now we're seeing from oldest to newest. And if we wanted to see the other way around, we can just double click again on that header row. But also remember that you can combine fields that are graded in yellow, colored in yellow, to find a very specific document or to narrow your list of documents that you're looking for. So if we recall that it was an AP invoice that we created for this vendor, but we also happen to remember the date, for instance, or it could be any other field, right? But if we remember the date, then we can just input both data into the right fields, and then we click on find again. And since the system only has one document that matches both conditions, that is the document that is going to open for us immediately. If the system finds more than one document that matching those two conditions, then we will again see a list, but it would be a shorter list. Okay, so hi, Josh. That was fine. It was that was a little harsh cut to the last part of that exercise, but we definitely hope that you guys saw value in this presentation. We do have one question. I'm going to read it aloud, and maybe Josh, you can take it. One of our users is asking, can we import information from Excel, Word, Access into Business One?
Yeah, so we commonly do this through a tool called Data Transfer Workbench. And this is whenever we're changing a flat file, like an Excel file, converted into an XML, or I'm sorry, a TXT file, and uploading that into the system. So it's something we commonly do, and we'll be doing throughout the implementation. So, yep. I think you're muted, Claire.
Yeah, right. Thank you. Fantastic, Josh. I think from Excel, you can also copy and paste, right?
Correct. Yeah, and you can also import into Excel from SAP quite easily, just by copying the table and turning it into a flat file, or using the import to Excel file, functionality in SAP.
Okay, fantastic. I just wanted to mention that we recently had a webinar on the import from Excel. Fernando, if you're interested, just go to our website and look for the webinar, and you will see there a very easy way of using Excel with SAP Business One. And we don't have any more questions right now, but please feel free to send us your questions at any time. I wanted to let you know that we are already working on part 2 of this webinar, and that these are some of the things that we're going to be reviewing on that webinar, things like the personal settings that you can customize, and different options for customization. SAP Business One is a flexible and customizable system, both for your company and also for yourself as a user. And it's important to know how you can actually modify the view, your modules menu, your form settings. We will go into copy to and relationship map, which is a favorite of users across the board. And we will also introduce you to your cockpit, how you can activate your cockpit, to the user-defined fields, briefly explaining what they are and how you can display them, and the power of the right click, which is a super cool tip that will save you a lot of time in SAP Business One, as well as other cool tips for beginners. And before we go, I also wanted to remind you that the customer day is coming soon. We already have the dates set aside, and we're working on the schedule and the content. We did the customer day for the first time remotely last year, and it worked really, really nice. So we're doing the same this year, and that means we're taking it throughout 3 days from 11 a.m. to approximately 2 p.m. We're going to have sessions every day, trainings, webinars, presentations. So for now, we ask you to please save the dates, and then you will receive that information so that you can actually register to the session that it's most interesting to you, or the sessions, or more than one. And also we have upcoming the user resources session. So you will be receiving all this information so that you can register to any of these sessions. Again, if you have questions, you can send them to us by email, and we will get to them. And if you, when we end this session, you're gonna see a pop-up window allowing you to rate this webinar. It really helps us improve. So if you can rate the content that we shared today, the way that we did things, and how you would improve it, that really, really helps us serve you better. And oh, I'm seeing a question now, Josh. One of the users is asking, I had been told that there was a maintenance module, but I didn't see it in the presentation. Does it exist? I don't know about you, Josh. I think you might be referring to the help in menu.
It could be that, or
Yes.
whether it's through a process in the using a service call or something like that, something that you do outside of the warehouse, for example, as warranties or things like that. That might be something that's involved.
Okay.
But as far as a module referred to as the maintenance module, there's no such thing. So it might be something different.
Yeah. Okay. We have another question, and Monica, we'll get back to you to clarify exactly what you were told, and what you were referring to when you were told that there was a maintenance module, because there are a couple of options that could be what the person who told you that was thinking about. So the next question is: are saved documents in the case of the sales orders saved based on the date? So when funding the document, pressing previews will not show right there.
Right. So
Yeah.
SAP Business One is extremely date sensitive. It's centralized around the date, so you have access to all the financial reporting, be it last week or the last 5 years. However, they're saved based on the document number. So you can go back and look at your document number, but not you see the date associated with it, but it's more chronologically in the base of the system or document numbering.
Yeah, exactly. So the arrows that we showed are going to take you up and down through the document numbering, and you could actually see dates not matching that order necessarily, although it would make sense that everything also matches that chronological order, but the arrows do take you by document number.
Right. And you can also search the date too within that using the find functionality. If you have a date that you want to see the documents for that date, it'll come up with a pop-up and show you all the documents that are associated with that date.
Thank you, Josh. Fantastic. So I don't think we have more questions for today, but like I mentioned before, do write to us. You can write to info@consensusintl.com. We are also going to send you an email to follow up so that you have our contact information, and I will include a link for you to subscribe to our newsletter and the information about the sessions that we mentioned in this webinar. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Josh.
Yeah, no problem. It was great.
Yeah, this was great fun for me too.
Yeah, great resource.
Super. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Bye.